Led by the immortal Count Dracula, the greatest army of evil ever assembled is poised to bury mankind in a tomb of terror. Destroying this legion of swamp dragons, slasher skeletons, and forces of the undead will be the supreme challenge for the mightiest of warriors. Your place in history is 100 years before Simon Belmont's birth. Dracula is young at heart, and it will take more than a stake to penetrate his evil. Luckily, you command the role of Trevor, Simon's forefather and the origin of the Belmont warlord chromosomes. Trevor has a power never seen before by human eyes, the power to transform into 3 different spirits. Grant Dynasty, the ferocious ghost pirate, Sypha, the mystic warlord, and Alucard, Dracula's forgotten son. You must perfectly time Trevor's body transformations to match up with his different fighting spirits against the ultimate evils. Trevor also has the strength and wisdom to command the battle axe, invisibility potion, and mystic whip. But the most important weapon Trevor has is your cunning to choose the correct paths of fate and your bravery to lead him past 17 possible levels of never-ending doom, including the Haunted Ship of Fools, the Sunken City of Poltergeists, the Clock Tower of Untimely Death, and Curse Castle. Never before have so many dangers confronted you at one time, and if, by some miracle, you triumph, you'll no longer be a mere mortal. You'll be a legend who'll live forever. Oh my lord. Well, I'm out of time for this video. That was incredibly long. This is Castlevania 3, Dracula's Curse, brought to us by Konami in September of 1990. And much like the description, this game is probably a little longer than it needs to be. Clock Tower of Untimely Death? Come on now. Dracula's a bad man. Dracula's a bad man. This is the 3rd and final Castlevania game for the NES. And, the plot of Castlevania 3 is the prequel to the original Castlevania. Starts a few centuries before the events of the original game, and our protagonist is Trevor C. Belmont, which we talked about. This abandons the action-adventure role-playing game elements of its immediate predecessor, Castlevania 2, and returns to the platform game roots of the first Castlevania title. Unlike Castlevania, however, Castlevania 3 is non-linear. Trevor, the main character, can be assisted by one of 3 possible assistant characters, and after completing the first level and at several other points throughout the game, you are given the choice of 2 branching paths to follow. You can obtain multiple endings depending on the choice you make throughout the game. There are 2 main routes through the game's 15 stages. The second stage is an optional excursion for picking up one of the 3 partner characters, which we do in this video, and the main branch occurs partway through the 3rd stage. Each route contains a total of 9 stages, 10 if you take the optional second stage. The upper route takes the player across the lake to the main bridge, entering Dracula's castle through the front gate, and is generally regarded as the easier of the 2. The lower route takes the player through a series of underground tunnels and cavernous areas, eventually scaling the cliffside below the castle, and is generally considered the more difficult of the 2, which probably didn't need to be said since the upper one is considered easier. The lower route features one short branching section of its own at stage 6, and 2 paths converge in the main hall of the castle. The year, viewers, is 1476, and Count Dracula has started to ravage Europe with an army of monsters. The Belmont family of vampire hunters, once exiled, are called into action by the church. They feared the Belmont's superhuman power, but with Dracula menacing to swallow Europe in darkness, they are left no choice but to call Trevor Vampire, current wielder of the Vampire Killer Whip, or if you look at the box, the Mystic Whip. Joining Trevor Belmont on his mission to defeat Dracula are 3 new playable characters. Sypha Belnodz, a young sorceress with poor physical attack power but powerful elemental magic at her disposal, who is referred to as a man in the game. Grant Dynasty, a pirate with the ability to jump on walls and change direction in mid-jump, which is a rare ability early in the game. And Alucard, Dracula's son, a Dhampir, with the ability to shoot fireballs and transform into a bat. Dhampir isn't a word I usually do not hear associated with this game. Trevor can be accompanied by 1 companion at a time. If you choose to take on another one, you must abandon your current companion. The player can spiritually transform between Trevor and his ally with the select button. Both Trevor and whoever is accompanying him, though, share the same life meter. The ending of the game depends on which companion Trevor has with him at the time, or if he does not take one at all. Besides just the different title, the Japanese version has several other differences, this being called, I think, just Castlevania in Japan. Let's see. No, excuse me. Devil's Castle Legend. Yes. Most notably, the original Japanese version contained a specialized VRC6 microprocessor. The game's audio programmer, Hidenori Meizawa, assisted in the chip's creation. The chip added 2 extra pulse wave channels and a saw wave channel to the system's initial set of 5. The majority of the music combines the channels to imitate the sound of a synthesized string section. The VRC6 chip also provided smoother animation for sprites. Western versions of the NES didn't have the ability to support external sound chips, so the North American release replaced the VR6 with Nintendo's Memory Management Controller, the MMC chip. Specifically, the MMC5 model. The 5 lacked the extra audio channels, and the game's music had to be downgraded to comply with the NES's standard 5 channels. Some of the percussion instruments were also slightly changed, even though the low-quality PCM channel was no less capable without the VRC6 mapper. Other changes differed in the graphics and gameplay. Instead of using a stabbing dagger, Grant throws his dagger as a main attack. Some enemies do less damage in the Japanese version and had their sprites changed for Western releases. Some instances of nudity on the enemies were also censored, and the Japanese version had slightly different backgrounds in many stages, and had special effects not seen in the American version and European version due to the lack of the VRC6 chip. The North American and PAL version have several hidden features that can be accessed by entering a certain name for the player, which included starting the game with 10 lives by entering the name Help Me. The option to start the game with any of the 3 spirit partners and to access the second, more difficult quest. These features are not present in the Japanese version. An animated Dracula's Curse movie is in development and may be split into 3 parts, which leads me to believe that Peter Jackson is doing it. It is being produced by Frederator Studios and written by Warren Ellis, with art direction by James John. Or James John, I think. Oh boy, Frederator, huh? Let's see. I'm looking. What else is this? Is in the body of work by this fine director here? Transmetropolitan, Planetary, Hellblazer, The Authority, Red, Next Wave, Global Frequency, Iron Man Extremis, Ministry of Space, Fell, and Gun Machine are his notable works. Well, what can I tell you? Everybody goes ape over this game. This was Symphony of the Night before we had Symphony of the Night, which also means I really don't care for it all that much. I think of the 3, I think it plays the best, but looks the worst. I really do not care for the visuals of this game. Some of the sprites look really good, but the backgrounds are really, really horrible, I think, and some of the color palettes are really quite bad. The ability to get different characters is kind of neat. They seem really situational, though. Still, you don't have to do that. You can skip them completely. It's not a bad game. I just don't think it's worth the 9.1 it was given from 43 people here at the site, or the 8.3 683 people gave it. I would give this game probably a 7.5.